It's time for dinner.
Ding dong, ding dong, ding dong.
From the creative mind of Scott Bertelson, after 4 decades of teaching our impressionable youth,
The dinner bell.
you are invited to enjoy conversational morsels for the mind at Mr. B's dinner party.
Yeah, dinner.
Hello, goblins and ghouls and vampires and zombies.
Mr. B's got a table so wide. Pull up a chair, let your worries slide. School days, tales, and a movie or two. He's serving up wisdom with a side of stew. Belly up to the table, my friend. The feast of thought will never end. From travels far to a spiritual climb. Morsels of musing served in rhyme.
It is time for Mr. B's Halloween edition. So, get out your witch's brew and belly up to the table, because we have a delectable amount of morsels of Halloween pleasure for you today.
For the next course, come one, come all. Nothing spoiled here. From comfort classics to what's hot now. Film reviews from Mr. B's Rewatchables.
Hello, my friends in Ghoulland. Ghoulland. Ghoul. Anyway, I would like to give my top choice for one of the all-time scariest movies I've ever seen. Now, you might recall that I have chosen the original Halloween that came out that made me jump 15 feet into the air. And then, of course, The Exorcist, which made me jump 25 feet into the air. Now, the third film I'm going to go into a little detail about that has made me very, very jumpy every time I see it would be the film Hereditary. Yes, Hereditary, the 2018 American supernatural psychological horror drama. Boy, that's a title. That was written and directed by Ari Aster. And Ari Aster has gone on now to become quite a well-renowned director. And this was his feature directorial debut. And it stars one of my favorite actresses, Toni Collette, and also one of my favorite actors, Gabriel Brown. And it follows the life of a grieving family tormented by sinister occurrences after the death of the grandmother.
You okay, Mom? Is there something you want to say?
Why would I want to say something so I could watch you sneer at me?
I don't ever sneer at you.
Oh, sweetie, you don't have to. You get your point across.
And say what you want to say then.
Hey, Dad.
I tried.
Try again, release yourself.
Stop.
Just say it.
Don't you ever raise your voice at me. I am your mother. All I do is worry, and all I get back is that face on your face. So full of disdain and resentment and always so annoyed. Nobody admits anything they've done.
So anyway, to give you a little bit of an idea here, we have an artist, Annie Graham, who lives in northern Utah with her psychiatrist husband and the 2 children, 16-year-old Peter and 13-year-old daughter Charlie. Annie's mother, who's very secretive, dies, and they go to the funeral, and we find out how Anne had a troubled childhood with her mother, very difficult relationship. And then they find out that somebody, after she'd been buried, has desecrated her gravesite. So anyway, as the story goes on, we have the story of Charlie, who one night, Peter, the 16-year-old, goes to a party one night and takes his younger sister, his 13-year-old sister, Charlie, to the party with him. Unfortunately, she is very allergic to walnuts. And she goes to the party when he's not paying attention and eats something with walnuts in it. And he has to desperately, urgently take her to the hospital. Now, as he's speeding to the hospital, he sees a dead deer lying in the road, swerves to avoid it. Charlie is hanging outside of the car and is decapitated by a telephone. It is shocking.
Charlie!
He drives home and leaves her headless body, yes, folks, in the backseat of the car. The mother discovers it the next day and screams in pain. Well, of course, the family falls apart. Peter becomes racked with guilt over his sister's death, and the mother seems to blame him for what happened. The mother decides to go to a support group, meets a woman there for people who have lost loved ones. She meets a woman there named Joan, who teaches her to
Charlie,
perform
if
a
you're in
seance
this room with us,
to communicate with
I'm going to have us all
ghosts.
touch the glass. Don't add pressure. Now, if you're in here, Charlie, I want you to move the glass for us. Even if it's just a tiny bit, even if it's just the tiniest little movement, okay, Charlie? Okay.
What the hell?
What?
You don't feel that?
What? Feel what?
Like, you don't feel the air flexing?
Later that night, Annie convinces Peter and Steve to witness a seance. Objects begin to move about, and Peter is terrified
Hello?
when Annie is possessed and speaks in Charlie's voice.
Mom?
I don't like this. Dad, I don't like this.
What's happening?
Please stop.
What's going on? Mom!
Please, you're really freaking me out. Please stop.
What's
Dad,
happening?
make it
Why is
stop,
everyone
please.
scared? Why are you scaring me? Make it stop!
Until the husband throws water on her. Annie suspects Charlie's spirit has become vengeful and demonic. When she starts seeing threatening images manifesting in Charlie's sketchbook, she throws the book into the fireplace. However, her clothing goes up in flames at the same time as the book does. Her clothes only stop burning when she pulls the book out of the fire. Then Annie starts going through her mother's things and discovers that her mother, Ellen, was the leader of a coven. And that Joan, her friend, supposedly her friend, was one of her acolytes. And the book describes a demon Paimon, Paimon, who wishes to inhabit the body of a male host. Do you see where this is going, folks? Anybody who summons Palin will receive wealth and rewards. Then Annie finds the rotting body of her mother that's been exhumed from her grave in her attic without a head, and occultists have drained her of blood. So then while Peter is outside the school, not having really good days, believe me folks, feeling really guilty because of all of this, Joan appears across the street and attempts to expel his spirit from the body for Pagan. She wants him to be the host for this malevolent demon. Peter is taken over by an unseen force slams his head against the desk. Really terrifying scene. Anyway, I'm not going to give you so much more of the story because I don't want to ruin it for you. But it has a horrifying ending. And if you like supernatural horror films, my lovers of Halloween, you'll definitely want to consider seeing Hereditary. It will keep you on the edge of your seat. Toni Collette is absolutely breathtaking in this role. One of my favorite actresses. And what happens to her at the end, I cannot even describe to you. It is so terrifically horrifying. And what happens to the husband, and what happens to Peter. I think I've given you enough clues to give you an idea that this is not going to be a happy, everybody lives happily ever after ending. Not at all. Not at all. But the director, Ari Aster, has put together a frightening film. Doesn't rely heavily on gore. That's what I like about it. But it has suspense. It has jump out of your seat moments. And it has a worthwhile story. So, friends, go to the streaming service, go to a cable channel during the Halloween season, and maybe buy the Blu-ray DVD of Ari Aster's first feature film, Hereditary. I can almost 100% guarantee you that you will be shocked and you will be scared. And that is what he wants you to endure. Hereditary.
Sorry, I know it's irrational.
Since we're in the Halloween season, and we have ghouls around the corner, and we have ghosts in the air, and we have vampires coming to our front door, I thought it might be better for you to stay in and watch one of these 2025 horror movies that I'm recommending to you. I'm not going to go into great detail about them, but I'm just going to mention them. And you can find them on a streaming service, or maybe a VOD, or a cable channel, or maybe some of these are still in the theater. But you may want to check these out to put yourself in the Halloween spirit. The first one I'm going to mention, and I've talked about it before, briefly in an earlier episode, would be the film Weapons, about a group of young people who mysteriously disappear in the middle of the night, and nobody knows where they're at. Until Aunt Gladys shows up. The film Weapons. Highly recommend it. I also recommend the film Heretic, which stars Hugh Grant, who plays a religious horror. It's a religiously horrific horror film. Boy, that's a mouthful. That talks about two young missionaries who are forced to prove their faith when they knock on the wrong door. Also, which is in theaters right now, would be, which I would like to see. Some of these I've seen, some I have not. This one I have not. The Long Walk, which is based on a Stephen King story, which talks about a group of people on this walk, and if they break down or if they fall down, they are killed. So the winner would be the person who can actually endure the long walk. Another one would be the film Together, about a couple going out into the woods for relaxation and come upon some kind of evil spirit that starts to fuse them together. Yes, that's what I said. Fuse them together. The film is called Together. Another one would be The Substance, about a woman portrayed by Demi Moore who comes upon a secret serum that will make her youthful, but it has hideous side effects. The Substance. Also, 28 years later. This will be the third in the 28 years later anthology. Another one coming up soon about what happens when a virus takes over the world and what it's like for the people who are unaffected by it. 28 years later. Another one would be Dangerous Animals, which is a twist on the sharks movies, the hundreds of thousands of shark movies that we've had, about a serial killer who abducts people, ties them up on a boat, and then dips them into the water that is infested with sharks. Yes, Dangerous Animals. Another one would be Nosferatu, which came out last Christmas, which is a rebirth of the silent horror film. It's a gothic tale of obsession between a young woman and a terrifying vampire infatuated with her. Definitely some similarities to the story Dracula, but different. But it is different, and it is beautifully filmed. So I recommend that. Another one would be, and maybe this 2024, but we'll go with it. Speak No Evil, the remake of the Danish film Speak No Evil, about, in this version, an American family who's invited to spend the weekend at a charming estate of a charming British family. They are anything but charming. I've seen it. It is very scary. Speak No Evil. Let's just do a few more, please. Let's go with one that came out in the last part of 2024, In a Violent Nature. This one I really, really liked because it was from the perspective of the killer. The story involves a group of young people going into the wilderness, and they come upon a collapsed fire tower where a locket is hanging. They take the locket, and the locket has kept the rotting corpse of Johnny there for years. He surfaces, rises from the dead, and seeks revenge on these young people. That may sound a little far-fetched, is it? Yes. But it has one of the most memorable killings. Probably the most outstanding killing. Not that I endorse this for people to practice. Not at all. That I've ever seen in a horror film. It is absolutely not gorish, but one of the most creative methods of killing somebody. That is in the film In a Violent Nature. I also would have to recommend Terrifier 3. I've seen all the Terrifier movies. I know they are not everybody's cup of tea. I get that. They are excessively gory and excessively bloody. But this one takes place at Christmas time. And there's been many Christmas slasher films, but this I think is the best. And it has an engaging story. Art the Clown is absolutely horrifying as a character, even much more than Jason Voorhees or Freddy Krueger or any of those characters. Michael Myers. I would recommend Terrifier 3. And let's see. I'm going to also say 2 more. I'm going to mention Clown in a Cornfield, where these teenagers come upon, in this quiet town of Kettle Springs, this conjured up clown that's in a cornfield. It's very funny, I think, and very entertaining. Clown in a Cornfield. And the last one I'm going to mention, even though there are many, many others that I could mention to you, would probably have to be The Rule of Jenny Penn, which stars John Lithgow and Jeffrey Rush. And it's a very chilling story about what is happening in facility for older people, nursing home, assisted living. And it is very timely, very scary, and I would highly recommend you see it. So folks, I haven't gone into great detail about those, but I hope you'll put those on your list of, if you like horror films, if you do, that you would take the time to watch sometime. And there are many, many other choices, but I am not going to take your time or my time to mention them. You could go to a website and find a whole list of movies that you might want to choose, or you can simply go to a great source is to go to the streaming service Tubi, and Tubi has many, 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 many horror films, and some of them are classics. And it's a free streaming service. You could go to that and you can find many films that would satisfy your Halloween tastes. So, sit back, enjoy, and be frightened.
Let's lend our ears to the wacky observations of the world, according to Scott. Mr. B's wacky, 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 wacky world.
Folks, for my wacky, 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 wacky world, for the Halloween edition, I'd like to talk about some of the things that make me go crazy in your typical horror film. That happens over and over. Who writes these scripts? Anyway, that seem ridiculous and ludicrous, but they happen anyway. And maybe that's just the formula for a horror film. I'm not sure. But let me just give you a few. First of all, when somebody's trying to run away from a ghoulish creature or person, why do they always, most of the time, fall down? They look back, they see the killer, or they can't see the killer, and then all of a sudden they fall down, and then miraculously, the killer is pouncing on top of the person. They twist their ankle, whatever. Oh, come on. Can they be that clumsy? I just don't get it. Here's another one. Going into an empty house without any help and going up the stairs. Now, or going into the basement. Why do you do that? Those are the two places probably your serial killer is going to hide. Oh my goodness, if you go upstairs, there's no escape except onto the roof. And then you're going to fall 2 stories. Oh, that's ridiculous. Another one is the killer is so slow. Now, I had mentioned to you in a violent nature. Some critics said that the film was definitely slow at times because it showed the killer walking through the woods many, many times, breathing heavily, and just walking and walking and walking and walking. Now, many times killers are very, very slow. They're like a turtle, but then they can miraculously move very, very quickly when they pounce upon their prey. Anyway, that doesn't make any sense to me. Another one would be the whole issue of teens and sex. Now, so many of these horror films deal with testosterone and hormonal deranged teenagers who are going to a house or out into the woods to engage in anything but Uno. And and those, of course, that engage in it on screen, they're the ones to go first, killed by the killer. The so-called virginal woman usually is the last one who is saved and is rescued before the killer can get to her. But it's normally a girl, and she's normally a virgin. That's all I'm going to say about that. I just think that's crazy. Let me see if I can think of something else. Oh, too many remakes and sequels. Oh my goodness. How many times has the original Halloween been done? The remakes. Why do we need all these? For example, just recently, we had 3 in a row come out. Halloween, Halloween Kills, and Halloween Ends. And I thought they were all bad. Especially the third one was really bad. Why can't we just keep the original? Oh, I know. Money. We get to make money. Okay, I'll give you that, I suppose. But why do we have to remake Friday the 13th over and over and over and over? Leave it alone. I think we have the last installment, supposedly, of Scream coming out this February. Would it be Scream 7? Now, can they still be effective? I think many of the Scream movies are still really good. But I think we have too much of it. And so that's just my brief list of the obviously stupid things that happen in horror films. And if you've ever seen the original Scream, in that film, which is a brilliant film, the whole story is based on dealing with the stereotypes of the traditional horror film. And they mention them, and then that's how they die in the film. It's very, 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 very clever. So the original Scream with the opening scene with Drew Barrymore is a classic. A classic. That might be one of my top horror films that I do in future years. We'll see. We'll see where we go with that. So anyway, that's not going to keep me away from a good horror film. But we need a little more variety. A little more variety. And we are getting that with many, many movies. So with that, let's move on. I also thought it might be appropriate for my Halloween show to talk about some of the history of Halloween in the United States. It started in the 1600s. First of all, we had Hallows' Eve. And this was a very positive religious holiday for the early colonists. who fled England because of religious persecution. So Hallows Eve wasn't widely celebrated, but as time went on, many different harvest festivals started to become associated with Hallows Eve. And so what happened was people started to want to dress up and take on a different character and have parties. And that's what they did. And then it evolved into what we have today. I have to say that from the time I was a child, 100,000 years ago, Halloween was celebrated. Of course it was, but nothing like it is today. When we went trick-or-treating in the 60s, we simply had a mask that we had bought at a Kmart for maybe $1, $1.50. That was it. We did not have the extravagant costumes that we have today. And we went door to door, and we actually ate homemade treats. Now, today, you would not do that because you have no idea what's in them. We had candied apples, but I would not recommend that today either. And it was so different. It was much more simplified. Today, we start celebrating Halloween in September. And we have a plethora of websites selling all types of Halloween costumes. We have all types of Halloween parties. I'm not saying that's wrong. Not at all. I'm just wishing I got invited to one. But anyway, this is the plea. Please invite me. Okay. Anyway, we have the candy industry makes a fortune this time of year by the extravagant candy that we hand out to people. And we also have, unfortunately, a lot of violence affiliated with Halloween, which I would not in any shape or form endorse. But I think to me, it all goes back to why do we celebrate Halloween, which started as a religious holiday. I think it's because we have a desire to be frightened, a desire to try to understand the unexplainable, the desire to be scared. I know for myself that it seems to be very therapeutic to be frightened. It makes me have a better sense of reality. It makes me feel like I'm a human being. And it just is enjoyable. Now you might say, that sounds rather sick. I don't think so. I mean, why do we have so many popular horror novels and TV series and movies? Why do they keep making hundreds of horror films? People devour this. People devour reading horrific stories. Stephen King. People love that. And I think that's why many people love Halloween. Because also, they can dress up like somebody else. They can be another entity. They can be Donald Trump. They can be Chucky the doll. They can be the werewolf. They can be any character they want to be. And have some fun. Let's just remember that, folks. Halloween should be about clean, safe fun. Now, don't come to my door on Halloween because I never have my light on. Because I can't have the candy in my house. I'm sorry, folks. Because of my overeating, it is too tempting. It is too easy to want to eat 100 Snicker bars. And I don't want it and I don't need it. So anyway, just keep that in mind. Don't stop at my house. But I hope you have a great Halloween.
Let's have a seat round the proverbial table.
Would you like to say grace?
With a nod to our higher power and Mr. B's spiritual journey.
Folks, I've never done a podcast without having a segment on my spiritual journey. And even though this episode has been devoted to Halloween and all the joy of celebrating this holiday, I never can lose sight of the fact that I am an addict, that I am an overeater, that I have a disease, and I'd like to talk a little bit about the whole issue of perseverance. That I practice this program every day, one day at a time, 24 hours a day. And I have to persevere every day, every hour, to maintain my sobriety. That is, my freedom from alcoholic foods. Let me share a reading with you. When I became newly abstinent, I went through a difficult time experiencing the pain which had been buried under food and fat. I felt it mostly at night. Up came all the aches of the past, terrors, regrets, and deep, deep sadness. I dealt with these ghosts with the help of my friends and the 12 steps. I used the tools of the telephone and writing. The support I received was incredible. I'm so grateful. Now true comfort for me is waking up with that clean, happy feeling, knowing I was abstinent the day before. True comfort is hearing the birds sing, breathing the sweet breath of life, thrilling to the beauty of nature, loving the moment, loving the people I'm with, being grateful all the time. So deep and pure and satisfying is abstinence. I would not trade it for anything. Your perseverance will pay off when you realize you shouldn't trade your abstinence for anything. Everything stems and flows from abstinence. Whatever that is for you, everybody's different. But once you figure out what your definition of abstinence is, then you will have the mental clarity to live a life largely or completely devoid of character defects. Because you don't need them, you give them away to your higher power. That doesn't mean you're perfect. There is no such thing. But if you strive every day, 24 hours at a time, to be the best possible person you can be, then abstinence will keep you going. Please remember that. Let's look at another example of perseverance. I have spent most of my life looking at myself and everyone else with a black or white checklist. I allowed no gray areas, especially for myself. My greatest fear was that elders would see my large black list and realize what a failure I was. This kept me from being close to others. I went out of my way to be friendly, but I ran from attachment and closeness because I feared the rejection that would surely follow. I've realized that I'm not the only one who's imperfect. My God accepts me as I am. In God, I have a loving and forgiving teacher who guides me to a better way. This has led me out of the black hole of fear and towards the bright white light Thank you, higher power. Every day, you should thank your higher power. We should not have a black and white checklist. We do not have a right to judge other people, ever. Keep that in mind. If you are finding that you are running away from attachment and closeness because you think you're going to be rejected, always remember that your higher power accepts you and loves you as you are. And there are people in this world who will do that too. Don't compromise yourself. Don't sell yourself short. You, if you want, can find a person who will accept you for you, exactly you, all about you. It will happen. So stay on the road of food sobriety. The journey is fun. The journey can be long. You're going to probably come upon detours, but get back on the road. It will save your life.
Sorry, I know it's irrational.
Hello. Well, my friends, have you enjoyed our Halloween escapade? I probably should be employed by Hollywood to write the scripts. So, whatever you transform yourself into this year for Halloween, keep in mind to be safe, have a good time, and enjoy the holiday. And remember, someone might be lurking in the darkness.
Television dramas and comedic reviews, pet peeves buzzing like honeydew blues, poetry sprinkled like salt on a dish, every word served with a twist and a swish. Belly up to the table, my friend. The feast of thought will never end, from travels far to a spiritual climb. Morsels of musing served in rhyme.
Mr. B's Dinner Party is hosted by Scott Bertelson, edited and produced by Troy Thompson, recorded and distributed at Sunnyside Farm Studios, and platformed by Buzzsprout.
Conversations flowing like fine red wine, world journeys mapped with tales divine. He's hosting a dinner for your hungry mind, a banquet of life where you can unwind. Belly up to the table, my friend. The feast of thought will never end, from travels far to a spiritual climb. Morsels of musings served in rhyme.
Subscribe so you never miss an episode, and share with your friends. Listen and enjoy every other Wednesday conversational morsels for the mind on Mr. B's Dinner Party.